Senator Sheehy. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. As a fellow combat veteran of multiple tours, married to a combat veteran, I take these issues very seriously. And I want to echo some comments made from our VFW partners about some poisonous and disgusting rhetoric from the Washington Post recently that accused our veteran community and our broader veteran service organization community of fraud, of taking advantage of the American people. When this group of people, this body of veterans, raised their hand and swore an oath to defend this country, the system's not perfect. There's no question. The VA is not perfect. Veterans are not perfect, and there is fraud, no doubt. But the byline of that rhetoric should not be attacking the people that chose to defend this nation. It should be an internal examination of how we do things better in this government and how we make the VA focused on veteran outcomes and patient outcomes and not process. We've been lost in the bureaucracy for too long in the VA. It's about time we have a customer service-oriented organization that's focused on optimal outcomes for veterans. Outcomes for veterans. Veterans, not victims, is my favorite saying. We're not victims. We don't come back sorry, asking for handouts. We come back wanting a new mission in life and wanting to be empowered to continue to serve our country in law enforcement, in government service, even in entrepreneurs. We want our veterans to come home and be empowered, not treated like victims. But sometimes they need that help to do so. And I'd welcome your thoughts specifically. I think Dr. Cade related to specifically how does our incentive system within disability claims, how is our incentive system within the transition process? Are we incentivizing veterans to succeed at the end of that process, or instead are we driving them into a cul-de-sac of dependence? Because ultimately we want to help them as a bridge to another successful chapter in life. We don't want them to be professional veterans when they're done. We want them to be done and be proud of their service, but then open a new chapter for their life and succeed there.
Sir, thanks for that question. When I went through the transition assistance program when I was leaving the military, we spent about half a day on employment stuff and about a day and a half on how to file disability claims. And the proverbial little lady in tennis shoes stood up there and said, claim everything you can. It's free money. All you got to do is go get it. And if you have these conditions, you get this. But if you look at the DBQ carefully, and she like stomped on the floor and said, if you look at the DBQ carefully, you can see that if you have these conditions, you can get to 70%. And if you have these conditions, you can get to 100%. And so it was right there in front of people that all you have to do is exaggerate and you can get paid more. That's not actually my main problem. My main problem is what happens then. Because if a veteran is separated from the labor market, they don't work anymore, they're sitting at home, they're sitting on the couch, their wife is going to work, if it's a male veteran, the children are going to school, and what happens when those people come back home is the veteran is still sitting there. And that's a life of disempowerment, not empowerment. And men get so much identity from their work that we ought to be putting all of our effort into positive, meaningful, gainful employment and get away from saying to everybody, hey, get everything you can from the government. All you got to do is fill out this little form and we'll give you disability payments. Thank you.
That's exactly right. And disability is too oftentimes confused that if you're able to work, you don't deserve that disability. And the truth is that disability is a recognition that you're going to carry that injury, that condition for the rest of your life, and you can never heal from that because of what you did for this country. What do we think about alternatives to how the disability system is currently structured? And this is open to anybody. I mean, how can we better structure this so that after our veterans leave, take the uniform off, we're incentivizing them to find new careers and succeed in those careers, but still recognizing they have conditions they have to live with?
Sir, if I may really quick, the way that we talk about disability is different than any other program talks about disability. The bar is much lower, the conditions are much broader. And I'm not making this proposal necessarily, but if we were to take the people 60% and below in 2024 annual benefits report, and we were to say, you know what, those are conditions that we're going to treat for, but we're not going to compensate for those because they're not a disability by any other definition of the word. What you would do is you would save $20 billion a year that you could then put towards meaningful job programs. You could put towards internships and externships and education and even higher benefits for the triple amputee and the person with a traumatic brain injury. There's a way to do this that's smart and that incentivizes the right things, and that's what I'm just begging folks to focus on.
But
Well, we're at the end of my 5 minutes, so I'm sorry. You want to wrap up quick?
yes,
Mr.
Senator,
Windsor?
I was just wanted to say, it's very important that we understand, yes, we know about the injuries and illnesses, but the thing is we have questions with regards to integration into rehabilitation, and then there's compensation. We need to understand that it's complementary. And we need to ensure that when we look at the VA's stability of it, that VA's integrated care links the issues really. That's healthcare, vocational programs, and education. That's the struggle that we're having here. And so VA needs to continue to expand programs like the Veterans Readiness Employment System while they ensure that the veterans are getting their compensation. As you said, they have earned these benefits. So we want to make sure that they strengthen the partnerships that are out there to employees and workforces to ensure that they are hiring and recruiting veterans and really emphasize that there's a difference between the integration back into employment versus compensation.
Well, thank you for being here. We're at the end of our nation's longest war, and we may potentially be seeing the start of another war soon. So the work you're doing is going to be absolutely critical. Veterans, not victims. Outcomes